How is everybody? Sorry we haven't done any collab live streams in a long time, but we're finally back and hopefully we'll be doing a few more live streams now in the future. So, hello, Jim.
All right.
So we'll just wait for a few people to come in before we do or say too much. But what have you been up to this winter, Sunny, in your garden?
Oh my God, it has been horrendous. The weather has been so wet and it's just really limited the stuff I can do, particularly on land. Because it's wet everywhere I go on the lawn or anywhere, I'll just churn it all up and it just makes a mess.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this summer will be a bit more stable because we've had some on and off weather this past few years. Hopefully we'll have a better summer this year and we'll be able to get some good growing in and hopefully get everything established properly. So we've got one person here.
The Lone Wolf. Hi. So what have you been up to then recently?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I've been doing a lot of potting up. So one of the main things I've been doing the past few days is potting up all of those Pittosporum and Gristolinia cuttings that me and you took. I think it was not even last year, but the year before that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, just over a year or so ago now, me and Sonny took loads of Pittosporum and Gristolinia cuttings, and I've had them in 9 centimeters ever since. So I thought it was about time I actually did something with them. So I've potted them all up into 3-litre pots today and yesterday. But I've also in my garden been doing a lot of tidying because all of the bad weather and all of the heavy winds, I've got pots that have blown over everywhere, plants that have fallen over, branches, literally anything that can be blown away by the wind has ended up in my garden. So I've been doing an awful lot of tidying up lately.
Today, I've just been tidy. Like, particularly, I mean, on the farm, it's been really bad because bale wrap just went everywhere because it was really windy. So I've just been tidying all that up.
Yeah.
Been a bit of a pain.
That's the thing. Also, it's just a killer, isn't it?
Like the rain, cold's okay, although the rain's bad. Wind, you cannot put anything up, especially like I'm always worried about tunnel blowing over.
Yeah. So
like if that blows over and then knocks over my paraffin heater, and then the heater, it's just. But I mean, that's the fun of it, I suppose.
So according to my feed, you've now got 3 people here. So hello, anybody else who hasn't commented. But going back to, I think the last time we did a live stream, obviously we had those issues with our YouTube channels with fake people and all. I think now we can safely say that that's behind us now, and touch wood, we haven't had any more issues really like that with haters, which is always good.
Yeah, I mean, that was a concern last year.
Yeah, say the least.
Last year. That was a concern, but I think we've given it enough time that we've been inactive for 4 or 5 months now. So
more like 3 or 4, I'd say. But yeah, we have been inactive for a while. So sorry, anybody who's missed our content, but we are back now and we'll be uploading some more videos very soon. Have you uploaded any videos yet, Jimbob? I've uploaded 2 or 3 now.
I think I've put on 2. 2, but 1 I'm not going to count as a video because 1 it was just basically me saying Merry Christmas, everyone. Like the usual Merry Christmas.
I think I've done 2 very short videos, but they have had a decent response. So not everybody's left my channel just yet. So to be fair, we've picked a bad time to do a live stream because other people are getting ready to do their live streams in about an hour's time. Most people are eating their tea at this time. So I'm not really surprised that there aren't many people coming in, but that's fine. We'll just carry on talking and hopefully somebody will wander in eventually. I'm not planning on making this a very long live stream because I'm going to be going to have my tea later on. And that will just disrupt things.
Yeah.
So another thing that I've been doing in my garden recently is using cardboard that I've been getting from all of the bare root plants I order. And instead of just throwing it away or burning it or anything like that, I thought, I could use it as a mulch, because you see a lot of people who use cardboard as mulch, and it does actually work quite well. So as long as you don't obviously try and disturb the cardboard in any way, even when it's wet, it will take quite a while to decompose and to become mush. So I'm hoping that it should last the rest of the winter, and then in the spring it should be pretty decayed by that point, but that's all going back into the soil, stopping any weeds and things like that from growing. So fingers crossed it will work. And I've also been putting down the last of my wood chip that I got last summer. So
wood chip, I mean, I would use I used to use like sawdust, and then it all just, when it wasn't so windy, it worked well. When it was damp, it didn't decompose for a while, and it kept the plants really warm. Then wind picks up and it just blows away. Wood chips, I think, is much better.
I have to admit, I've never even thought to use sawdust, but I mean, if you had access to it,
I had,
What I'd probably do if I was going to use wood chippings, or if anybody else here is, thinking of using wood chippings, is have a thick layer of it. I made the mistake back in last winter of doing a very thin layer because I thought, it'd be enough. Patting it down, it doesn't work. You need to, what I find works is weed the ground really well, dig it over, then put your wood chippings on top. That's disturbed all of the soil. Any roots below of other weeds have already been hopefully removed, or at least damaged to the point that they're not going to grow back. They then can't push through the wood chips, but make sure you have a nice thick layer of wood chips as well, because otherwise they still grow through it. And don't expect your wood chips to last. Every year you want to be replacing your wood chips, because what will happen is that will work one year, then you get a load of weed seeds on the top and it stops working. So don't let wood chips sit around too much either. If you have them in a pile, that was the mistake I made this year, or last year even. I let them sit in a pile. They've gathered loads of weed seeds. So when I'm actually trying to apply them, I'm picking out tons of weeds from it. So it probably won't work as well as I'd like it to, but I can always weed it again. It's just to try and keep the nutrients in the soil for me. So do you use any weed protection, Jim?
Sorry?
Do you use any weed protection at all?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't have a problem with weeds. I don't know why. I've just never had an issue. In the soil at the minute, it's probably because after I grew all my potatoes and I decided to round everything up, just spray a nice even layer of Roundup, and then that sat there for a month, nothing growing through it, and then I let the Roundup wash away, then I started growing in it again.
I have to admit, I try not to use any weed killer or pesticides in my garden, because I always worry about how that will affect not only the ecosystem within my garden, but things around. So especially if I'm going to be growing vegetables in it. Oh, we got some people here. David Carlisle's here. Kane and Gee's here. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along.
Hi, David.
So we're finally back, David.
I thought it was, a break. Instead of David Carlisle, I thought it was David somebody else. Obviously.
So Kane is saying hello. Hope you all had a good Christmas.
How are you?
Sorry we haven't been uploading very much, but we are now back, and we're going to be uploading some more videos for the new year. Yeah, so as I was saying, I don't like to use too many pesticides. I use none around any vegetables I'm going to grow, and especially no weed killers, because yes, it washes away, but I don't like the thought of any of it potentially, lingering in your soil and potentially getting into your food. So I tend to try and steer clear.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I use this is because it works, and it's not Roundup, the really bad one.
Yeah, it's the other one, the
non-glyphosate one, the one that doesn't give you cancer, which is
always good.
Well, it's just that, yes, the back, round up argue that it's one case of cancer with this product, but one case is enough to put me off, and also that's one person that's reported it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, to be fair, that one case is enough to completely, steer me clear from that. Myself, I'd rather spend a little extra time just weeding it, because I know then there's nothing bad going into any of my vegetables and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't stuff that I was eating myself so much. These potatoes I was selling. So yes, I know that doesn't sound very good.
That doesn't sound very good.
It's just that I'm not consuming it, so
Yeah, you'll just let the other people die of poisoning.
Well, I mean, from a producer's point of view, it's legal. Yes, it might not be the best stuff, but it's a new and improved recipe that is been tested vigorously.
Well, I'll say no more on that one. It's quite a hot topic, but whatever. Hope that works for you. So, Jim, what seeds are you planning on sowing this year? Any in particular?
Well, I'll show you a few. So right now, tomorrow, I will be sowing.
So right now, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'll be sowing some coleus seeds.
Oh, wow.
I've never grown them before. And then I found this company. And I am really...
Yeah, they're good, aren't they?
Really impressed with these Italian seeds. And it just gives you something a bit different that you probably haven't tried before. And it's something really interesting about the company itself. It's the oldest seed company in the world.
Oh, wow.
7th generation family running it. And it really got me thinking about regional heritage seeds. Well, I say heritage, regional, seeds like that. Because, fun fact, only 2 out of the entire seed manufacturers actually grow their own seeds. Mr. Fothergill's, Thompson & Morgan, the big ones, buy their seeds in from other producers based in the Middle East and other countries.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So that's pretty interesting. So there's sort of the middleman there, and then there's the actual people that grow them that never really get a mention. Like when you look on the packet, it doesn't tell you where they're grown, who's grown them. It just has Mr. Fothergill's on it. So you assume they've grown it when actually that can be... that can be different. So these are the 2 I'm sowing now. How about you?
Well, I've got some plans for some onion seeds called Tosca. I think that's correct. Something like Tosca, I think. Basically, it's a regular onion, except they, instead of becoming like a wide onion that you normally see, they're more like a shallot, and they grow up, which is quite interesting. So I thought I'd try those. Also I'm going to be sowing some snowball onions as well, or something like that. I think they're like snowball cosmos onions, something like that. Thought I'd give those a try. Yeah. And there is another thing, a thing of seeds I'm planning on sowing, but I can't remember what it is for a minute. I'll come back to that one if I remember.
Okay.
But going back to the seed companies, I know what you mean. It is good to try and support the ones who genuinely do grow their own, and obviously
it was just something that came across my mind, and also regionality within seed companies. You go to France, you have Moneymaker tomatoes. You go to Spain, you have Moneymaker tomatoes. You go to America, you have Moneymaker. You go to the UK, you have Moneymaker. There's just nothing unique, in terms of these varieties. They're just mass produced, and yes, that's fine. But it just got me thinking. Actually, maybe I could use a traditional British, something that has been around for a while.
Variety. So alternative small holdings here. Sorry, I didn't actually welcome you. So hello, thank you very much for coming along. And that's pretty much, that is a good way to go about it. Just supporting the local company.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about heritage seeds and all this, they don't tend to have the disease resistance that other ones do. And, you know, that isn't a problem for some people that are growing using a lot of pesticides and chemicals. I tend to not bother buying pesticides, too much, because they're worse than herbicides, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're actually killing living things. And that to me is like, well, if that kills a fly, that might kill me if I eat too much. If that and I know that sounds stupid.
I know what you mean. It can build up. That's why I don't like to use anything like that at all.
Yeah.
My garden is like, I wouldn't say it's organic. It's semi-organic. I do use fertilizers like Grow More, things like that, fertilizers.
Fertilizers are innocent enough.
Yeah, I mean,
not if they get the water.
I'm trying to go even. I will eventually be organic 100% in the garden. And to be fair, there are a few places that I am keeping organic, like a few raised beds that I've just not put anything in at all, apart from things that are from the farm that are organic. But even then, I do try to have, sort of organic and non-organic, although I am trying to make everything I grow organic. I think you need to wait 3 years or something, and of putting no pesticides, fertilizers, or anything like that in it for it to be actually organic.
Yeah.
So hopefully, eventually, I will be able to say that I do grow organic vegetables and fruit in my garden, but that might be a sort of a longer project.
What has been? I mean, I've only used this Roundup once this year, just because I could see that weeds would come through quite badly. And so I've only ever used it once. I probably won't use it again because there is no need. Because what I've done is I've put in a thick layer of, probably about that thick, of spent compost.
Yeah, which has use that as mulch.
Value. Yeah. And basically what I've done is, hopefully there'll be no weed seeds in there, because Premier Seeds. Yeah, Premier Seeds are quite good.
Yeah, I use Premier Seeds a lot. Thank you for that information.
Seeds never have an issue with any of them. So that's quite interesting. I used a company called Real Seed Company, and I've always had good results from them as well. Yeah, sorry about that. So I'm trying to steer away from the Roundup. I've only ever used it once. I don't really plan on using it again. It's just to stop the weeds coming through because I'm trying to grow stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, if that makes sense.
I know what you're trying to say, yeah. I have to admit, spent compost, I hope you don't mind me saying, it's quite a risky one, because in my mind, that's like, you could be adding in weed seeds, obviously, but disease. And I know a lot of people would use a mulch of fresh homemade compost, or even just compost that you've bought, because it's then adding nutrients into the soil as well. So what makes you think that spent compost works? Like, I'm genuinely interested.
So it's not just spent compost. What I've done is, and it's really clever, I've mixed in fish blood and bone meal, and a bit of Grow More to sort of revitalize this compost in a way. The disease issue, again, diseases that I have experienced are not carried through compost. When the compost was manufactured, the compost was sterilized. So in theory, there should be no disease carryover. If there is, then
that's unlucky.
That's tough. But that is gardening. I'm taking a bit of a gamble. I'm recycling. And so, I'm, instead of buying more compost, digging out more peat, using more plastic, I'm actually recycling and helping the planet reduce the amount of peat harvested.
So if you consider getting peat-free compost then, Sonny, if you're so keen to not use peat?
So I have used peat-free compost, Miracle Grow peat-free compost, and New Horizon peat-free compost. Both of them, the Miracle Grow was terrible, and the New Horizon was a bit better. The problem with peat-free composts is it's literally like a bag of sticks. So when it's manufactured, they use a lot of green manures, wood fiber, and in turn, it's like shredded up clothes. If you look at it, it's really fibrous, really tough. And yes, that is good. It'll decompose over time, but unfortunately, it's not, ideal to grow in and start seeds off, particularly. And as well, they just don't spend the time composting the stuff down. They just chuck it in a bag and sell it. And that's why, unless peat-free compost gets serious about making actual compost, not just a load of stuff, then peat itself, only 5% of peat harvested is used for horticultural purposes. The rest, is burnt as a fuel. Really interesting. Yeah. Actually, not that much peat harvested. When you look at the peat bogs as a whole, there's very few areas that are actually being cut out for peat, because companies like Westlands, Humax, and other leading brands, Clover, yeah. So these are all companies. These three are all companies that use Irish peat moss, and that is all of these have sustainability pledges to the environment. So actually, there's very little peat being harvested. They mix it with other ingredients.
So just
that was a bit of a long.
No, that was interesting. That you're a bank of information, Jim. But going back to the idea of peat-free compost, I was listening to Gardener's Question Time this morning, which was Thursday's edition of it, and they were actually talking about peat-free compost and how very recently it has actually become a lot better than it was, and is actually now becoming something that's realistic to use in the garden, not just a nice thing to try out. It is realistic now to incorporate that into people's gardens. So I'm actually considering giving it a go at some point, just to see whether it actually has improved. Because I did use it, it was awful.
When I've used it this year, I don't think it would have changed much. You can use it. That's not what I'm saying. It does work relatively well. But when you're starting off seeds, absolutely imperative you use a seed sowing compost. And peat-free options are just not, peat-free seed composts are just not usable, because it's not composted to that fine, gritty texture.
Can I just say, perhaps you've not been trying the right companies, because with any compost or with any product, there's a cheap version and then there's the good quality version. And to be honest, with a compost, if it doesn't work out very well at the cheap one, sometimes it is worth paying that bit extra to get the better one. Like, for example, when I started gardening, I was using a very cheap ericaceous compost, and it was all right, did the job, but it wasn't very good. Whereas very recently, I've bought some J. Arthur Bauer's ericaceous compost, and it is infinitely better. So have you tried any of the more expensive peat-free solutions?
So the thing is, I've been using the most expensive peat-free option on the market, mainstream. So what I'm talking about is what shops like B&Q, Wix,
the common ones.
This isn't probably the most expensive one, but this is a common one, middle of the road-ish, the one that everybody would find. So Miracle Grow is what I used, and it was all right for potting up bulbs, potting on plants, etc. You cannot sow seeds. Cuttings don't like it. So I have tested a few. The cheapest ones I've tested were Verve, and Verve were terrible.
Yeah.
Like I read the reviews online. It wasn't very good. Even the one with peat in it wasn't very good. So I thought, well, I'll just buy one bag and see how it is. And I did that, and it disappointed me.
So Alternative Small Holding is saying that she finds peat-free is a bit more bulky, but they use it for everything from seeds to soil covering. If it is a bit bulky, yeah, sieving it. That's what I like to do. That's what I did. I had some really bad compost when I started, and I would sift it through, and the amount of stuff you'd have left over, it was crazy. And then, once you've sifted it through, it's perfect for seeds. But as well, Jim, perhaps try adding things to that compost that you get. So if you are getting it quite woody, sift it, and then perhaps add leaf mold if you have any. Maybe some sand if it's a bit, too sticky, because you sometimes get compost that it's just
clumps, and then
it's
once it
really
clumps, the
clumpy
root
and
can't
clay.
grow. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So I will give peat-free a go in time. However, due to the statistics that I just said, I don't feel like it is. Personally, I don't feel the need for it. Obviously, wider for everybody else, I think yes, that's great. But personally, from what I'm trying to do and grow plants to look nice on a commercial level, and as well, you're doing that as well, of course.
Yeah.
On a commercial level, personally, I feel that I can't justify it at this stage. As peat-free compost develops, I mean, cocoa coir is becoming much widely used to bulk the compost out a bit and add a bit more peaty substance. If you know what I mean, like peaty texture. As they use more ingredients, as more ingredients are found and techniques get better, I will definitely consider it in the future. But right at this minute, I'm happy with the compost I've got. Yeah. And it's a reduced peat. Let's be honest, it's not 100% peat. It's not like I'm buying bags of peat moss.
No.
It's got around 25 to 30% peat in it. So it's not too bad.
Nick Slotman Diary is here. Hello. Thank you very much for coming along. How are you?
Hello, Nick. How are you?
We were just talking about peat-free compost and how, to be honest, it isn't realistic to use it currently.
Well, that's my opinion. I don't know what you're thinking at the minute, but it's
I use a compost that I can get very cheaply, and if that company, it's Manor Farm, if they were to make a peat-free compost, I'd use it because I can get it.
So they do make a peat-free compost. They make a peat-free compost. They do grow bags and other stuff. The peat-free compost. So they do make it, or it says on their website they do. Whether they've discontinued it or not, I don't know, but it says that they make it. So
I doubt they discontinue it. So yeah. So to be honest, we're sort of getting to I was only planning on making this live stream about sort of half an hour, maybe a little bit over, because this was a last-minute plan that me and Jimbob decided to do. So in a few minutes now, we will be beginning to sort of take the live stream to an end. But thank you very much to everybody who has come along, and thank you for Jimbob for being here.
That's all right. See you in a couple of weeks' time, maybe, when we decide to do another one. I think that's the way to do these live streams, because if you don't know me, keeping to a schedule isn't really my forte at the minute. I know that sounds bad and all the rest of it, but it's just something that I'm not very good at.
So Jazz from Alternative Smallholding is saying, what are you looking forward to trying this year? So for me, I'm looking forward to growing some Egyptian walking onions, which I got as bulbs or whatever you call it. There's an attack of the dog on the Jimbob side.
Can you excuse me?
Yes, I got some Egyptian walking onion sets. So basically, they grow like a regular onion, but then they grow a new onion bulb, I suppose you could call it, on the top. And once that becomes developed enough and heavy enough, it will then fall over and grow a new one. So a bit like how wild garlic work. So I'm looking forward to trying those this year. What about you, Jim? Anything you're looking forward to trying?
I wonder what I'm looking forward to trying. Please don't knock the camera. I'm looking forward to trying more unusual plants. So, for example, I'm just going to try and start some cyclamen off. Thanks, Nick. Dog attack, yeah.
It's not a Mike and Jim collab stream without something in it like that.
I'm just looking forward to trying some new stuff that I haven't tried before. basically.
Yeah.
And actually having success with some stuff that I have tried and I've got wrong, and redoing that and having success with it. So like sweet pea, I grew them and then they fell over. And these are plants I wanted to sell, and I just didn't know how to grow them properly. So they all fell over, and then that was that.
Yeah.
But now I know when they germinate to leave them about this big and then sell them quite small.
Yeah.
So the seeds relatively expensive, which is why I'm going to grow a lot to keep myself so I can harvest the seeds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good tactic, that is, because whether this is a concern of yours or not, I know a lot of people, especially now, are trying to save as many seeds as they can to try and reduce the carbon footprint of their garden. And I know that's a very minor thing for gardeners, because end of the day, you're not going to be using that much, but it is something to keep in mind. You know, if you're going to be gardening, if you can have your own seed, it's going to be not only a lower carbon footprint, but also it's going to be better suited to your environment.
So considering that, hopefully a lot of people, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but considering that pretty much all seed manufacturers buy in seed from the Middle East and hot countries, that is a big concern, because it's traveling all this way. No wonder seed prices are so high. You know, actually, it does make sense to save seed if you can. I know it's not always easy. For example, you're faffing around strawberries, trying to pick the seeds out with tomatoes, you know. But if you can find, I mean, I really recommend King's Seeds. They don't buy in their seeds; they make all their own. So I really recommend.
They're good, aren't they? I had a catalog from them arrive today, I think, for their trying to advertise some things that they're selling in spring. But to be honest, I've got all the seeds I need, so I'm trying not to buy too many more seeds now. Although I probably will buy some of their cucamelon seeds, because I tried those last year, failed them. So I'm trying to, I'm going to try and get some more this year to see if I can succeed. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Kings, yeah. I mean, I had some petunias from Kings, and they
Jimbob,
were.
are you aware that your camera's paused?
I am, yes.
Okay. Just checking.
I'm just having my tea right now. So.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. So, like I said, we wouldn't make this live stream too long. We've had a good talk with a few people. A lot of people came in towards the end, which is how it always seems to go. But thank you very much to everybody who has come along. We're hopefully going to do some more live streams very soon. There's a possibility I might be doing a live stream at some point tomorrow, but I'll sort of make a schedule. You know, I'll schedule that on YouTube if I decide to. So if you don't see it, chances are I'm not going to do a live stream. But if I do, if I have enough time, I will most certainly schedule it. So thank you very much to everybody who came along. Thank you for Jimbob for co-hosting.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, everybody. Thank you for showing your support.
If anybody doesn't know Jimbob's channel, it's Jimbob's Greenhouse Adventures. Check him out. He makes some amazing videos, and you're planning on doing a bit of a channel restart as well soon, aren't you, Jim?
Yeah. I've got a lot of things to talk about. Loads of stuff's changed in the horticultural world that you will all know about, but it's finding alternatives to these things that's going to be tricky. So I'm going to talk all about that, how to get costs down when buying certain products, all the rest of it, and reviewing some stuff. So go and check that out when it is available.
Oh, I look forward to it. So yeah, thanks again for everybody who came along, and hopefully there'll be some more video. Well, there will be some more videos coming up on my channel very soon, so look out for those. But I think that'll be it now. So bye. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.